He's being accused, allegedly, of cheating on Kardashian with a woman close to his daughter's age, reportedly around 19 years old. And when stories like this surface, they don't just land as gossip. They hit with a kind of uncomfortable familiarity. It makes you pause mid-thought. It makes you ask questions that go beyond celebrity drama. What are we watching unfold in real time? What are we choosing to excuse? What are we slowly becoming desensitized to? Because here's the larger context. Travis Barker does not have a history free of controversy when it comes to relationships. Allegations of cheating have followed him for years. Admissions have been made in his own memoir. Former partners have spoken publicly. Stories from past marriages have resurfaced again and again. So for many observers, this current accusation doesn't feel like a shocking plot twist in an otherwise spotless love story. It feels like a chapter that fits too easily into an existing pattern. Now nothing has been confirmed. There is no official statement validating these claims. These are allegations circulating online, amplified by speculation and commentary. But perception matters, especially in the world of public figures whose relationships are broadcast as part of their brand. And right now, the perception is loud, relentless, unforgiving. Reports suggest Kardashian is spiraling behind the scenes, though again, nothing has been verified. Still, the narrative has taken hold. And people aren't reacting with confusion. They're reacting with recognition. Travis is now being linked, again allegedly, to a 19-year-old adult, and suddenly the soulmates forever narrative begins to feel fragile. The aesthetic of undying devotion, the public declarations, the constant physical closeness, all of it starts to look thinner under scrutiny. When a relationship is presented as transcendent, almost obsessive in its intensity, any hint of betrayal feels seismic. But what's striking isn't outrage, it's the lack of it. The internet didn't explode in disbelief. There wasn't a collective gasp. Instead, the reaction felt muted, almost resigned. People scrolled, people shrugged, comments surfaced saying, "Are we really surprised?" A 50-something rock star allegedly stepping outside his marriage doesn't register as a groundbreaking scandal to many. It registers as a familiar storyline, one that has played out before under different names, different headlines, different timelines. This is the same man whose ex-wife, Shanna Moakler, has spoken openly about infidelity. The same man who, in his own memoir, admitted to cheating in previous marriages. He described himself as the problem. He detailed multiple instances of betrayal, not isolated mistakes, but patterns of behavior. When someone has documented their own past missteps so clearly, it becomes difficult for the public to treat new allegations as random or baseless, even if they remain unproven. And then there's the beginning of this relationship. Many people remember how intense it was from the start, the whirlwind romance. The non-stop PDA, the public displays that felt almost theatrical in their devotion. Some called it passionate, others called it overwhelming. Words like love bombing were thrown around early on. There was a sense of urgency, milestones happening quickly, commitment escalating rapidly, declarations of forever made with dramatic flair. At the time, supporters saw it as evidence of true love finally found. Skeptics saw something else, a relationship burning bright and fast, perhaps too fast. And now, with these rumors surfacing, those early doubts are being revisited. People are replaying interviews, rewatching clips, analyzing body language, searching for signs that may have been overlooked. The situation reportedly began with a blind item, one that barely attempted to conceal its subject. It described a well-known reality star being cheated on by her partner with someone who, while legally an adult, was not much older than his own daughter. That phrasing alone was enough to ignite speculation. The internet did what it does best. It connected dots within minutes, screenshots spread, threads multiplied. The reaction wasn't hysteria, it was a quiet, collective, here we go again. What adds fuel to the fire is timing. Kardashian recently had a baby. The relationship has been marketed as unbreakable, transformative, a second-chance fairytale. When a couple leans heavily into a narrative of permanence, even whispers of betrayal feel amplified. People began repeating the same sentiment. A baby does not fix underlying issues. A public vow does not erase private habits. A perfect Instagram grid does not equal stability. And that's where the conversation shifts from scandal to psychology. Some observers argue that intense, highly visible affection can sometimes function as compensation, an attempt to overemphasize closeness in order to quiet internal insecurity. The non-stop PDA, the constant T. Ouching, the almost theatrical obsession. Some see it as genuine passion. Others interpret it as something that needs to be proven repeatedly, almost defensively. Online discussions have even ventured into more speculative territory. People have referenced Travis's history with addiction and impulsivity, questioning whether patterns of behavior ever truly disappear or simply evolve into subtler forms. Others have speculated about dynamics behind closed doors, about control, insecurity, emotional dependence. These are theories, not facts, but they reflect a broader narrative that has been building for years. Courtney herself has acknowledged differences in personality. She has described Travis as impulsive, constantly in motion, always needing stimulation, while she sees herself as slower, more grounded, preferring home and routine. Opposites can attract, but they can also clash. When personalities diverge significantly, maintaining balance requires sustained effort. And sometimes, even effort isn't enough. The discomfort surrounding the age aspect of the allegation adds another layer. A 19-year-old adult is legally an adult, yes, but proximity to one's child's age creates a different kind of reaction in the public imagination. It triggers conversations about power dynamics, maturity gaps, and optics. Even unverified rumors gain emotional weight when they intersect with themes that society already finds troubling. At the heart of all of this is the image that has been cultivated. The redeemed rock star who found lasting love, the fairy tale marriage that defied odds, the narrative of growth and transformation. When someone with a documented past of infidelity presents a new chapter as completely different, the public watches closely. And when allegations emerge, fairly or unfairly, people instinctively measure them against that history. Whether these rumors fade into silence or escalate into something more concrete remains to be seen. What is clear is that the illusion of perfection has cracked. Even if the claims prove false, the conversation itself has exposed something fragile: the gap between public performance and private reality. In the end, the deeper question isn't just about this specific allegation. It's about patterns. It's about whether people truly change or simply manage their impulses more discreetly. It's about why certain narratives feel believable the moment they appear. And it's about the cost of building a love story so loudly that even whispers can shake it. Right now, nothing is confirmed. Everything remains in the realm of allegation and speculation. But the reaction reveals something powerful. When history exists, rumors travel faster. And when an image is built on intensity, even the slightest crack can feel like the beginning of collapse. Then it got messier fast. A comment appeared beneath the blind item that read, word for word, "I don't agree with cheating, but please let it be bad, baby." That single sentence didn't confirm anything. It didn't provide proof, but it revealed something else entirely: the absence of shock. People weren't stunned. They weren't scrambling to defend or deny. The reaction felt almost anticipatory, like the audience had been bracing for impact long before the rumor surfaced. It wasn't confusion, it was recognition. The tone online suggested that many had already built this possibility into their expectations. And almost immediately, the conversation circled back to something longtime followers have never fully let go of. For years, there has been chatter that Travis allegedly had his eyes on Kim Kardashian first. That narrative didn't materialize out of thin air. In his own memoir, he openly admitted that he found Kim attractive. When those excerpts began circulating again, old screenshots resurfacing and passages being reposted, the pieces began to align in a way that felt uncomfortable to many observers. It reframed the relationship timeline through a different lens. Suddenly, what once seemed incidental felt connected. So when he ultimately ended up with Courtney, some people had side-eyed the pairing from the start. The reaction at the time wasn't explosive, but it was skeptical. The sentiment was subtle but persistent. This feels adjacent. Same family, same inner circle, same orbit. Over the years, whispers persisted that perhaps Courtney represented proximity to something he once admired, an option that kept him within the same gravitational pull. It's an uneasy theory, and one built on perception rather than proof. But in the context of everything resurfacing now, it doesn't feel far-fetched to many watching from the outside. And then there's the matter of history. Because the cheating narrative attached to Travis Barker isn't an invention born solely from internet speculation. It's rooted in his own admissions. In his 2015 memoir, he openly acknowledged infidelity during his marriage to Shanna Moakler. He described himself as the problem, according to Hi's account. It wasn't a single lapse in judgment. It was a pattern involving multiple women simultaneously. Shanna has also spoken publicly about discovering messages and feeling blindsided by betrayals. The transparency in his own words is what gives current allegations traction. When someone has documented their own missteps so candidly, future rumors attach themselves more easily. It doesn't stop there. He also admitted to cheating in his first marriage to Melissa Kennedy. Even anecdotes from earlier in his life, stories he shared casually, including details from his bachelor party, painted a picture of someone who historically struggled with boundaries and commitment. None of this proves anything about the present, but it establishes a pattern that people can't ignore when new accusations arise. Context amplifies speculation. That's why, once the blind item gained traction, the internet didn't just gossip, it investigated. Old interviews were clipped and reposted. Passages from his book trended again. Conversations that had faded into the background resurfaced as if they had been waiting for a reason to return. It felt less like discovery and more like resurfacing something that had never fully disappeared. What intensified the reaction was timing. Kootenai had recently welcomed a baby. The relationship had been framed as unbreakable, transformative, a love story that defied cynicism. When a partnership is presented so emphatically as permanent, even whispers feel amplified. The contrast between the fairytale narrative and the rumor created friction. And online, a recurring sentiment began to circulate. Stability doesn't materialize simply because it photographs well. A curated aesthetic does not guarantee private security. A rock star persona does not dissolve overnight because vows were exchanged. Then the discussion evolved beyond infidelity and into something more layered: control versus chaos. Some observers pointed to the intensity that has defined this relationship from the beginning. It has always been loud, fast-moving, deeply physical, almost theatrical in its expression. For some, that intensity signified passion. For others, it signaled volatility. The idea emerged that relationships built on explosive energy can burn brilliantly but may struggle to sustain that heat long-term. When someone carries a documented history of crossing lines, people naturally question whether transformation is permanent or situational. Change is possible, of course, but skepticism grows when history is extensive. That's where the conversation has settled, not on confirmed facts, but on the credibility of change. Now the scrutiny feels constant. Every social media post is analyzed. Every public appearance is dissected. Even silence is interpreted as strategy. The internet has shifted from asking what went wrong to wondering how long this may have been simmering beneath the surface. The narrative has moved from reaction to re-examination. The spotlight inevitably has landed on Kootenai. Viewers are revisiting old interviews and reality show moments with fresh eyes. Scenes that once seemed affectionate now appear intense. Milestones that felt romantic now feel rushed. The constant public displays of affection, once celebrated, are being reframed as possible overcompensation. Whether that interpretation is fair or not, it reflects how perception can change once doubt enters the equation. Some argue that Kootenai didn't ignore red flags, she chose to believe in a fairy tale. Others counter that love doesn't erase history. When someone has a long public record of boundary issues, affection alone cannot rewrite it. The phrase circulating online, "patterns don't disappear, they just go quiet," has resonated strongly. It captures the collective mood: less gossip, more frustration. There's also a divide in sympathy. Some fans feel protective of Kootenai, believing she deserves stability and loyalty after years of public relationship turmoil. Others argue she entered the marriage fully aware of his past and chose to accept it. And perhaps the most repeated line in the discourse, "People don't change, they just adjust," speaks to the skepticism fueling this entire moment. Whether any of the current allegations prove true remains unknown, but the reaction itself reveals something powerful. When history exists, rumors don't land softly. They echo. And when a love story is presented as absolute, any uncertainty feels seismic. Right now, it's not confirmation driving the narrative, it's pattern recognition. And that, more than anything, is what has kept the conversation alive. Now every silence feels deafening. Every social media post is dissected. Every public appearance is scrutinized. Even the absence of content feels intentional. In moments like this, perception becomes louder than proof. Whether the rumors quietly fade into the background or escalate into something undeniable, one reality has already settled in: the illusion of perfection has fractured. The carefully curated image of an unshakable, obsessive love story no longer feels untouchable. And once that kind of narrative cracks, people don't look away, they lean in. So when some say, "He's always been like this," they aren't necessarily exaggerating. They're referencing documented history. They're pointing to interviews, memoir admissions, past relationships. The receipts, as the internet calls them, weren't hidden. They were public. They were written down. They were spoken aloud. And that's what keeps redirecting the spotlight back to Kootenai. Because if the past was visible, if the pattern was acknowledged, then the unspoken question becomes unavoidable. Did she believe it would be different this time? For a long time, observers have commented on how intense this relationship appears. The non-stop PDA, the constant physical closeness, the need to broadcast devotion at every opportunity. It has always felt heightened, almost theatrical. Every kiss captured, every embrace photographed, every red carpet moment turned into a display of mutual obsession. To some, that reads as passion. To others, it feels like something that must be continually proven. As if the message has to be repeated over and over to remain convincing. And that's where the conversation shifts from admiration to analysis. Some people have argued for months, long before any new allegations, that the dynamic felt less like quiet security and more like amplified reassurance. That it looked less like effortless happiness and more like insecurity wrapped in coordinated outfits and viral moments. That interpretation didn't materialize overnight. It evolved slowly, thread by thread, particularly once online forums and Reddit discussions began dissecting the relationship in greater detail. When Reddit entered the conversation, the tone hardened. The focus expanded beyond cheating rumors and into deeper speculation about behavioral patterns. Travis's past struggles with addiction resurfaced in discussions, not as accusations, but as context. Some users theorized about impulsivity, about personality traits, about cycles of behavior that don't simply vanish because circumstances change. Others speculated about emotional manipulation, suggesting scenarios in which alleged boundary crossing could be reframed, denied, or deflected. One particularly controversial thread imagined a dynamic where lines are crossed and then rationalized, where postpartum changes are invoked, where overwhelm becomes an excuse, where shifting blame becomes part of the narrative. In that hypothetical version, the wrongdoing is minimized, and the focus subtly pivots toward perceived emotional strain. It's uncomfortable territory. None of it is confirmed. But the fact that such theories gain traction says something about how viewers interpret the history they've observed. For those who have followed this family for years, those narratives felt plausible, not because they were proven, but because they mirrored dynamics seen in past relationships. That familiarity is what made the speculation stick. Another angle that gained momentum centers on proximity. Some commenters suggested that Kootenai's constant presence around Travis may not be purely romantic devotion. They theorized that it could stem from vigilance rather than passion. The idea being floated was that closeness isn't always about affection. It can sometimes be about assurance. That staying physically present might feel safer than allowing distance. People began noticing small shifts. Observers pointed out that Kootenai appears most frequently with baby Rocky, rather than maintaining the same rotation pattern she previously had with her older children. That detail alone ignited discussion. Was it natural maternal adjustment, or something else? Some defended her immediately, noting that older children simply require less hands-on care. That's a valid and reasonable explanation. But others remained skeptical, arguing that the energy feels different, more protective, more anchored. Then came another layer of interpretation. A few online voices suggested that Kootenai's frequent discussions about breastfeeding and being constantly needed might function as more than just openness. They theorized it could serve as a socially acceptable explanation for always being present, a way to say, "I need to stay close," without directly admitting mistrust. Once articulated, that idea spread quickly. And once people adopt a lens, it becomes difficult to unsee the patterns they believe support it. Comparisons followed. Viewers began contrasting her demeanor now with how she appeared after giving birth to Mason, Penelope, and Rain. In earlier years, she seemed to maintain a sense of independence, space to breathe, space to move. Now some describe her as perpetually attached, constantly beside him, rarely separate. Whether that perception is accurate or simply magnified by scrutiny is debatable, but it has undeniably become part of the conversation. To be fair, pushback exists. Not everyone subscribes to the survival mode theory. Some argue that growth, age, and different life stages naturally shift priorities. A new baby changes routines. Blended families evolve. Not every visible shift signals underlying instability. That counterpoint deserves acknowledgement. Still, others insist the current dynamic feels familiar. One comment summarized it pointedly. It feels like déjà vu, like a return to patterns seen during her relationship with Scott Disick. The difference, they argue, is presentation. Where chaos once felt overt, now it appears more controlled, less explosive, more subtle. If history repeats, some believe it does so in quieter forms. Again, it's crucial to emphasize that none of these theories are confirmed. They are interpretations, projections, attempts to make sense of limited public information. But the speed at which they circulated underscores something significant. When a relationship has always been intensely public, the public feels entitled to interpret its every shift. Right now, certainty doesn't exist, but scrutiny does. And once scrutiny replaces admiration, even the smallest detail becomes symbolic. Whether this situation resolves quietly or grows louder, the underlying truth remains. The narrative of perfection has been disrupted. And when that happens, every silence echoes. And here's the most important part of all. None of this is confirmed. These are theories, online conversations, people analyzing interviews, body language, timelines, and reading between the lines. There has been no official statement verifying any of these claims, no concrete proof presented to the public. What we're watching unfold is speculation layered over history, interpretation layered over perception. But speculation doesn't form in a vacuum. The reason these conversations feel so loud right now is because they're built on years of observation, years of watching patterns repeat, years of seeing relationships rise dramatically and then collapse just as dramatically, years of noticing how, in the public eye, Courtney has sometimes seemed to mold herself around the person she's with. That perception, fair or unfair, has followed her for a long time. So when new rumors surface, they don't feel isolated. They feel connected to a larger storyline people believe they've already been watching. And then there was the moment that really made people pause, because it didn't come from the internet. It came from Courtney herself. On the Kardashians, she openly admitted that her marriage to Travis isn't just rainbows, fairy dust, and red carpet PDA. She acknowledged that it takes real balancing to make it work because they are fundamentally different people. She described Travis as impulsive, constantly moving, always needing stimulation, go, go, go energy. In contrast, she described herself as slower, calmer, more grounded. She said she likes staying home, staying in her bubble, moving at her own pace. And when she said that, something clicked for a lot of viewers. Because suddenly, the dynamic people had been sensing made more sense. The intensity, the constant togetherness, the non-stop public affection. Some began to wonder whether that visible closeness was partly compensating for deeper differences. Whether what looked like overwhelming passion might also be a way of bridging two very different temperaments. In hindsight, some viewers say the signs were already there, but they were easy to overlook. The dramatic kisses, the viral red carpet moments, the coordinated outfits, the hyperpublic declarations of love, they were loud. They were distracting. They were almost cinematic, and sometimes when affection is that amplified, it becomes easier to ignore the subtle cracks beneath the surface. Then another moment added fuel to the fire. Travis was criticized online after liking several provocative photos posted by his son Landon's girlfriend. It wasn't a scandal in the traditional sense, but it made people uncomfortable. The reaction was immediate. Why are you even engaging with that content? It wasn't illegal. It wasn't proof of anything, but optics matter. And for someone already under scrutiny for past behavior, small actions can take on outsized meaning. One comment summed up the prevailing sentiment. Maybe he's not different. Maybe he's just more discreet now. That idea, whether fair or not, resonated with a lot of people. And it helps explain why the current rumors spread so quickly. When warning signs appear to be sitting in plain sight, even unverified claims feel plausible to an audience already primed to expect them. Which brings the conversation full circle. Either Travis is behaving exactly as some people always anticipated he would, or Courtney is once again trying to hold together a relationship that was never as secure as it appeared from the outside. That's the tension people can't ignore. It's not just about alleged heating, it's about the credibility of change. It's about whether public transformation equals private transformation. At the end of the day, none of us are inside their home. None of us truly know what their reality looks like beyond curated glimpses and edited scenes. But perception shapes narrative, and right now, the narrative is being rewritten in real time. So what do you think? Do you believe the rumors hold weight? Do you think Travis genuinely changed over the years? And do you believe Courtney saw potential red flags and chose to believe in the fairy tale anyway? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If this breakdown made you think a little deeper, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and join the conversation. I'll see you in the next one.